Hey everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery, and today I've got Hernan and Marco on with me, and we're going to be talking about the SEO Battle Plan version 2 step by step. So we're just basically going to be walking through the processes that we use for promoting new sites, existing sites, YouTube videos, those types of things, and just kind of doing it as in a conversational manner to help guide you guys along this path with the battle plan. So with that, Hernan, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm excited for this. I'm excited for version 2. Version 1 was really good, and we made this update webinar, which was really valuable for the purchasers. So, with V2, with version 2, that wasn't the exception. So, I'm excited to be here.
And Marco, how you doing?
Hey man, what's up? It's good to be here. I mean, I'm glad to be talking to people about our battle plan, the way that we do stuff. I mean, this is actually what it is. So everything that's in here, that's included in here, is how we go about taking on whatever niche, whatever it is that we want to do online, whether for a client, for ourselves, or anything else. This is actually the way that we do it. So I mean, this is invaluable.
Yeah, and what's great about it, guys, is it's a very simple process, a repeatable process, and so there's not a lot of fluff in the battle plan. It's funny because when we launched the first version, we got some support tickets, people complaining that they paid $20 or whatever for a PDF that wasn't like 50 pages thick, and it was like, well, wait a minute. You guys want us to just put some fluff in there so there's more pages? Would that make you happy? But that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to be very specific to the point, an easy, repeatable process that you guys can use. And it's the same process that we've been developing for years and apply to all of our own digital asset promotions. And so this is, again, we wanted to condense it and make it simple, because simple is good. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen, guys, unless you have something else to add before we get into it.
No, real quick. Yeah, to second what you just said, we engineered or we developed the battle plan so that it was a step-by-step process, right? That you could give to your VAs or you could put together. The reality is that we have been producing a lot of content for the past 4-5 years, and people were asking us for a simple step-by-step, paint by numbers guide. So that's why we come up with the battle plan. A lot of people that are new to Semantic Mastery are getting the battle plan, so we appreciate that. But that's our way of saying, okay, so here's where to start here, and then you can progress to other Semantic Mastery programs.
All right, well, let's do it. I'll be driving, Hernan, so if you
Sounds good.
Stop or move or slide, go forward or back, just let me know.
Sounds good.
So we'll start with step 1, domain and keyword research. Now, I'm going to put a caveat on this before we proceed, and that we've got a couple of methods that we've developed recently here that don't even require a domain. So just keep in mind, depending on what your overall project is and what your goal is, and what you intend to do with the project that you're working on, you may want an external domain. And I'm not saying not to have one, guys. I think there's still benefit to having it. However, I know that we're going to talk later on in this presentation about one of the ways that you can get results from Google especially for local businesses. And that's mainly what this applies to, but without even needing an actual external website, which could save you a lot of work and a lot of time. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But regardless, either way, you're still going to want to do keyword research for any project, especially if you're going to be including SEO. And that's basically what the battle plan is about, right? So for domain selection, we certainly always recommend using a branded domain for new projects. Gone are the days where you used to be able to go out and get exact match domains and build like sniper sites if you're doing affiliate stuff. If you don't know what a sniper site was, that was a very targeted type of site about one particular product or something, and then you would go buy an exact match domain. And for local businesses, people would go buy a keyword domain, basically with keyword plus city or product or service plus city, and then build their websites on that. And it worked really well. And you can still actually do that. But the problem with that is it causes potential over optimization issues that you got to be really careful with. And it just presents problems. And on top of that, Google is rewarding brands more so now than ever. And I think it's going to continue to go in that direction. And so whenever you're thinking about starting any new digital project, always consider trying to create a brand out of it, no matter what the project. because also, besides having a brand, for many of the benefits that I just mentioned, Google rewards brands. It prefers brands over, like, you know, basically keyword type sites or sniper sites and things. It also gives you the ability to scale at a later date, because, you know, again, if you were to create just a very, very specific domain about one particular topic or product, or you know, particular keyword or whatever, then that kind of limits you into your ability as to what, you know, being able to expand that digital asset into encompassing or covering more than just what it was originally intended for, if that makes sense. So having a brand is something that you can do to expand and for future use. And it, again, there's many different benefits for it. And branding is very important, just because people will come to remember brand names, right? So what do you guys want to add for that?
If I may, real quick, and I would like to know Marco's intake on this, but also when you're thinking long term in terms of a website, or in terms of an actual asset that you're developing, you never know how much it's going to grow, right? And then at some point, you might want to exit it, you might want to sell it, you might want to pass it on, whatever you want to do. I think that brands can gain a lot more value in the long term. So the question becomes, if you're investing time and money into developing an online asset, why wouldn't you do it in a way that will allow you to grow? Because, for example, if you're buying something like, I don't know, Blue Widgets, WashingtonDC.com, that is not that scalable, if that makes sense. Yeah. So if you think of the big brands that are out there right now, Instagram, Google, Yahoo, their brands and their names and their domains, they do not mean anything. Like, they're just brands. So that's something that you want to go ahead and start doing, and start thinking in the long run, because at the end of the day, you can still optimize a URL or an internal page for a keyword, right? You can still do it, but you cannot do it the other way around. You cannot optimize a super specific EMD for branding purposes.
That's right. Marco?
I would just add that it's just way easier to over optimize an EMD than it is for those that are just starting out and are trying to figure their way through everything. It's really easy to get into over optimization and to not get ranked simply because you're over optimized. Whereas if you go brand, you can totally target brand plus keyword associations, and in that way, you know, when people start thinking about something, and I always give the Jello, the Band-Aid example. We don't think gelatin, we think Jello. We don't think adhesive bandage, right? We think Band-Aid. These people did a great job of branding, and so your thought here is, I need to create a brand so that later on, as Hernan said, whether I decide to expand, it could be nationally, it could be in the state, however it is that you decide to expand, you can do so easily without worrying about, okay, am I over optimizing? Is Google going to penalize me? All of these other things that you would have to worry about if you go after something that already has your keyword in the URL. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so next I would say keyword research. Guys, that's, you know, really important. Keyword research is where you're going to really start to develop out your content strategy and how you're going to, you know, decide on how to structure your site if you're building out a WordPress site, or, you know, any sort of website, period. A lot of that, I spend a lot of time on keyword research, and hours, in fact, but it only needs to happen once, really. If you do keyword research correctly, then you'll end up with all the keywords that you're going to need for quite some time, unless you're in a rapidly evolving industry, at which point you'd have to, you know, constantly go in and refresh as new keywords are being, I guess, invented, but you know, new types of search queries and such. But for most all applications, guys, once you go through keyword research, you should have enough and everything, or you should be able to organize those keywords into groups or silos and such, so that you can really develop a content strategy. It's going to help. It's going to build up the authority over time. It's going to show Google what the relevant, you know, what the topic is about. It's going to reinforce the topical relevancy of that particular site. So again, it's really important to spend time up front. It's the tip of the spear, so to speak. Okay. So with for people that are just getting started, or even experienced people for that matter, we've learned to target lower hanging fruit to begin with, right? So what do we mean by that? So when you're starting to do your keyword research, you're going to come across top level, like broad type keywords, which is where you're going to see all the traffic, like the search volume data and things like that. You'll see keyword tools that will show, like, these are the keywords that you want to target because this is where all the traffic is. And that's true to an extent. However, going after those types of broader keywords, right? The ones that, yeah, will produce more traffic, but they're going to be more competitive. So it's going to be a lot more of a fight to try to rank for those initially. And so what we teach is to go after lower hanging fruit that you can start to, that is a lot less competitive, typically longer tail keywords. That means keywords that contain more than, just a word or two. They're typically a lot more specific. And there's many reasons for that, right? They're, first of all, less competitive. So it's going to be a lot easier to get ranked for those and start generating, organic traffic that will help you to start generating revenue, at which point you can continue to work towards ranking for the broader terms. But at the same time, those longer tail keywords are typically they have much more commercial intent. In other words, the people that are searching for longer tail phrases are typically much further along in the buying cycle. They're ready to make a decision on whether they're going to purchase something or call to have an estimate. If it's for like a contractor, for example, if they're searching like, tree removal service, in, and they name their neighborhood, right? It's a very long tail type keyword or search query, but that's very specific because they're, instead of just like tree removal or tree removal cost or something that's a lot more broad, where that might be like more of an informational query. So just to kind of clarify what I mean by that is, informational queries are where people are like at the start, they might not even, they might think they have a problem and they're just kind of looking into what's out there and blah, blah, blah. So it'd be hard to get ranked for those types of keywords. And even if you do, maybe people aren't in the position yet where they're ready to make a buying decision or take action, right? So, but longer through that, or further down in that process is what I meant to say. Something like tree removal service in, and then they name their neighborhood or their city. That's typically because they're looking for a contractor in that city that can provide them with a tree removal service estimate, right? And so that's more of a type of keyword that I would suggest targeting first, because you can start to generate some traffic and perhaps leads or sales or whatever your conversion goal is from those first, and then use that to kind of piggyback or build to start to build momentum towards ranking for those more difficult keywords, the broader keywords that are going to produce a lot more traffic. If that makes sense. So the best way to do it, guys, this is an efficient way to do keyword research that we all use, and it works really, really well. And that's to start with Google Trends. If you're not familiar with that, just go to Google and search for Google Trends. What's great about that is you can get keyword search query information and data based upon location, based upon time frame, and also based upon you can drill down from like by country, by state, by city, all the way down to a city level. And it will show you both the historical keywords that have been related to whatever seed term you enter, the top related terms to that seed term over time. And then we'll also show you what's called rising terms. So you can find terms that have had a significant increase, or search queries that have had a significant increase in search volume since whenever, in recent months, let's put it that way. Okay. And so what's great about that is you can find keywords that are trending. In fact, when you go play around with trends, those of you that are doing local, you'll notice that in the rising tab, almost always you're going to see near me type keywords now. And that's because that's gaining in popularity. And so it gives you some data direct from Google that you should be optimizing for those types of search queries, right? So start with Google Trends, find your seed keywords there, collect all of your all of your relevant keywords. Just omit anything. You don't have to copy any of the keywords that aren't relevant to your project, and you'll find some of those, but collect all the relevant ones. And then from there, you want to drill down into those seed keywords that you've collected from that first step with Power Suggest Pro. And the link to Power Suggest Pro is available to you guys. semanticmastery.com/Power Suggest. It's a one-time fee for this keyword tool. It's not a fancy tool, but it does work really, really well. It's a one-time fee. Like I said, it works really well and it's fast, and it will spit out all the keywords from Google's auto suggest function. Okay, so when you start to type into Google search, whether it's on a laptop or desktop or even a mobile device, Google will start to suggest search queries for you. So that's what Google's, Power Suggest does, is it scrapes very quickly Google as well as many other search engines, if you'd like, YouTube, Bing, Amazon, eBay, things like that, and scrape keywords in search query, auto suggest queries from them as well. So you can get some really long tail, like golden keywords or golden search queries that nobody's really optimized for, or few optimized for. So it gives you a much better chance of being able to rank and generate traffic from them. Okay. SEMrush is a great tool for identifying competitor keywords. It's a little bit pricey. $100 a month, I think, is the cost. If you're doing a lot of work, then a lot of projects and such, then SEMrush is good. I'll be 100% honest. I don't do a lot of competitor keywords stuff until after I've started to produce results with just my basic methods. And that's more of kind of an advanced strategy, but SEMrush is a good tool for identifying competitor keywords. It's good for being able to find keywords that you may have missed on your own throughout your own keyword research. Hernan, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Whoops, sorry. Yeah, I think that I totally agree with what you were saying, Bradley, in terms of the risk reward ratio, right? That you need to have in mind, because you could be working. I don't know. Here's what I'm thinking. There are like those $1 million keywords out there that has to do with credit cards or cheap flights, and everyone and their mother are after that. And if you think about it, there are big teams of companies going after those queries, right? So that's a high reward, but it's also a high risk, because you probably need to work during a couple of years, I would say, to actually be in a position to rank for those keywords. So I totally agree with you, Bradley, in terms of the longer term keywords that you can piggyback on in terms of start generating revenue, even if it is like affiliate or local, whatever you're trying to do, you can start generating revenue with that, and then you can reinvest that back into developing your assets. In terms of the SEMrush, for example, I use it quite a lot because I have several projects there, and it's also a position tracker and whatnot. So I really like that tool in terms of and also in terms of the intelligence, that it will give you, right? So for example, I have this blog that I'm working on, and I will put the competitors the competitors to make an analysis of the keywords that they're using, and that will come up as inspiration for the content. We're gonna talk about content in a little bit, but that will come up as inspiration for the contents and the silos. So I think that's a great way to get intelligence from the marketplace as well.
Very good. Okay, and then guys, there's an example keyword workbook. If you want to click through to that, you can go take a look at just an example of how I collect keywords and kind of organize them as I'm going through that process. Okay. Use these tools to gather all the keywords you'll ever need for your content, your main money site content, your blog content for feeding the syndication network. And then, hands down, one of my favorite methods of all that I developed years ago, and I still use it today. I've got a team of curators that curate content for me and my clients and my lead gen sites. And it's the most efficient and effective way to create content, inexpensively too, without having to be a subject matter expert. So those of you that are getting into, any project, unless you're already a subject matter expert on that particular topic that you're going to be, building a digital asset around. But, for example, I provide services, marketing services to local businesses. Well, I'm not an expert in all of their different products and services. Tree services is one of the biggest, types of industries that I work with, or one of the industries that I work mostly with, the most with, let's put it that way. And I don't know a whole lot about tree service work. I've picked up a lot over the years now, but I'm not a tree service guy. So I'm not really a subject matter expert. I'm not qualified to write content about it. And nor is the stupid content farms that you can buy cheap articles from, right? So it's not wise, in my opinion, to go out and purchase crappy content from article farms or try to fake it on your own and draft it yourself. And so how do you solve that problem? Well, use Content Kingpin. Content Kingpin is the same method that I learned many years ago when I actually started providing services as an agency to other businesses, and I came across that very problem. I wasn't a subject matter expert. It was really expensive to hire subject matter experts to do writing. And anytime I ordered content from content farms about a particular subject, the quality was very poor and the clients didn't like it. So I had to figure out a different way. And I learned how to do content curating. And that all content curating is going out and finding content that is already written by subject matter experts about the content, that, you know, your topic, and then basically borrowing pieces of content, snippets from their written content. It can be video, audio, images, infographics, slideshows, anything. It can be any sort of media, period, that's about the topic that you're writing about or blogging about, or that you need content for. And you just borrow pieces of it, and you make sure you cite the source. You always give it attribution to where, you know, give credit to where you are borrowing that information, and then inject some of your own commentary between pieces of curated content. And it's so much more efficient because you don't have to come up with original content that's not going to be, you know, genuine anyways, because it's going to be from somebody not a subject matter expert. So we recommend curating content for blog content very quickly and easily. It's something that you can even train virtual assistants to do, so that you can basically, it's hands-free content marketing. In fact, that's the tagline: Content Kingpin, hands-free content marketing. Okay. So certainly once you have all your keywords, you'll be able to start developing your content strategy. You can go through Content Kingpin if you'd like, learn how to curate content, or even better yet, put a virtual assistant through it so that you have somebody that's doing it for you. Okay. All right, we're going to keep moving. Let's see. I was actually started to add a message into this slide, Hernan, just so you know, because I wanted to talk about for WordPress, where it's talking about WordPress, I want to add, make sure you use good hosting.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, and I think we missed that. So let me back up and refresh this.
Actually, yeah, if you refresh it, I can see it right now, but you'll need to refresh the slideshow real quick.
Okay. Where'd we go? Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Now it's not in presenter view though, is it? It's not. Stand by,
no.
Guys. A little behind the scenes here.
Not a problem.
There we go. Okay, so on-site SEO. Guys, if you're going to be building an external website, we certainly recommend WordPress. The reason why, it's basically industry standard. It's easy to install. There's a ton of plugins that you can configure or add to the site, you know, for different functionality. Although we recommend keeping your plugins as light as possible. There are certain plugins that we always recommend. For example, we have the Semantic RSS plugin. It's basically the Semantic Mastery RSS plugin allows you to do some pretty cool things with content syndication, and it provides it automatically inserts an attribution link that you can put spin text into to vary your, you know, your different types of texts and such. So it's just a very simple plugin, but it does what it's supposed to do, and it does it well. So we recommend that you download and install that. The W3 Total Cache plugin, you know, I would say W3 Total Cache is probably the most common caching plugin. It will help to speed your site so it loads faster. There are some like real geeky settings in there though, guys. So I would recommend just using some basic, you know, recommended settings. And you know, we're not going to give you a tutorial on that here, but we're just giving you some basic, you know, plugin recommendations that we recommend. It doesn't have to be W3 Total Cache. It can be another caching plugin. The idea is to help try to speed up your load time on your site, because mainly on, even more so on mobile devices than on desktops or laptops, people expect sites to load rather quickly, and using a caching plugin will help that. Okay. And then I put in big, all caps, use good hosting, guys, because that's something that has come up in several of our Hump Day Hangouts, where people are, you know, they ask about, and it's where it's revealed that they're using inexpensive or cheap hosting. That's a really bad thing to do, guys, because there's so many problems that occur from using cheap hosting, stuff that you're not even aware of. For example, you know, you could be, most cheap hosts the reason why they're so cheap is because they overload their IPs. So they'll put way more sites on a particular IP than they should. And it ends up, what happens is you end up being associated, like what's called a bad neighborhood IP, right? If you get, a lot of other SEOs and a lot of spammers out there are using cheap hosts too. And so you end up having your site associated on the same IP with a bunch of other sites, many of which are probably very low quality, very spammy sites. And because of that, it's already going to put you at a negative advantage, you know, and a negative disadvantage, excuse me. So you won't, you know, and it's not only that, but the cheap posts, a lot of times the sites will go down. You'll have bandwidth issues. There'll be slow load times. You know, all of those things are negative rankings factors. So using good hosting is incredibly important. There's two hosts that we recommend, Liquid Web for setting up your own VPSs. If you're going to be doing a lot of client work and such, it makes sense to do so, because then you can actually do managed hosting for your clients and charge them for it. It's another profit center, another source of revenue. Or if you want more of a traditional, instead of like having a VPS, of, you know, virtual private server of your own, I'm recommending right now WPX hosting, just Terry Kyle's hosting. And it's very, very good, and their support is really amazing. So it's a little bit pricier than a lot of the cheap host guys, but that's what we're telling you to do, because it's worth the investment. What would you guys say about that?
Yeah. Sorry, Marco, go ahead.
No, that's 100% accurate. If you're into cheap hosting, you're going to be with a whole bunch of other cheap people that aren't necessarily doing good things on that server, and you will just be one of them by default. And so you don't want to do that. You want to, even if you're just starting out, you have to go the extra mile and get better hosting, especially if you're going to be doing client hosting. Something interesting is Amazon. I see that you have Amazon CloudFront for fast loading, but you can host a WordPress website on Amazon, and you know, when you're starting out, you're only going to pay about $5 per month, and you're associated with Amazon, which, I mean, with their rotating or dynamic IPs, you'll be fine because you're on Amazon, and that's recognized as a little bit higher quality until people figure out, wow, I can go in Amazon and use that to death. But yeah, totally. Liquid Web. Liquid Web is the way to go. That's where I go when something matters to me.
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned. You know, Liquid Web is really, you know, Liquid Web is great, guys. It's, if you need a lot of hosting slots, then you can do some really good things with Liquid Web. And not only that, but Liquid Web's support is amazing, and they'll pretty much handle anything, anytime that you need it done. So that's why I like it. But the reason I am using WPX hosting as well for a lot of like independent sites that I've, you know, different project stuff that I'm doing. And I like WPX hosting because the support is almost, it's similar to Liquid Web in that anytime I need anything done that I don't feel like messing with, like I'll just contact Liquid Web's, or excuse me, WPX support, and they handle it. So again, I'm really happy with them.
Yeah.
The site speed is really good, all of that. So security is good too.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with what you guys said. Liquid Web for bigger, you know, bigger projects, and then WPX for the rest of stuff. I've been all over the place. Like I've been with HostGator, GoDaddy Hosting, and you know, Bluehost. All of those companies. The problem is support, right? You can be on the phone with them, or on the chat, waiting for 1 hour to be, you know, sent to, and your ticket bounce from here to there. And, you know, it's just a pain in the ass. So whatever you're saving right now is going to come back and bite you. So that's why we're recommending these companies, because we have been testing them all, like no kidding. But then we always end up with these two companies, two or three.
So guys, fast loading website, Marco just mentioned it very briefly, so I'm not going to spend any time on this. Just use a CDN. You know, Cloudflare is a good CDN. Max CDN is another good CDN. Amazon CloudFront. You know, a lot of the hosting companies now, especially the good hosting companies like Liquid Web or WPX hosting, will integrate with a CDN for you. All you got to do is contact their support, tell them what, you know, service you want to use, and they'll help you get that set up. Again, that's part of the benefit of using a good hosting company, is the support will help you to integrate those things so that you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to learn all that stuff, guys. Remember, the battle plan is about being efficient with your time. So that means don't go out and learn how to do all the things, all the bits and pieces. Try to take shortcuts where you can. By spending a little bit more money on a good hosting account, you can have, help have the hosting company handle a lot of the integrations with stuff that you would typically have to do on your own if you were with a budget host, which means then you'd have to spend the time learning all of that stuff to be able to integrate those services into your website, right? And if you screw it up, then you've got trouble, that you got to worry about, like troubleshooting and fixing it and all of that. So again, it's worth, in my opinion, spend a little bit extra money. But check out some of the CDNs, optimize your images and themes. Well, the theme, a lot of times you don't have control over that. But you can optimize your images. And there are some plugins and such that will help you do that. There's some online services that you can do for like smushing or smushing images or reducing file sizes, optimizing them for web display, and so on and so forth. All of that is helpful for web page speed. Okay. Use silo structure. We've got two different types of videos that we've got a link to in the silo training right there. One is called simple silo structure, and the other is called complex silo structure. We're not going to get into what that is here because there's tutorials right there available for you. But essentially, we recommend using simple silo structure wherever possible, because complex silo structures are just like the name implies. They're complex. They can become kind of a beast to try to manage. And I don't recommend it when you're first starting out. In some instances, you're going to need or complex silo structure would be the most appropriate. But again, that's a little bit beyond the scope of this webinar. There is some more in-depth training for you there. All we're going to say at this point is just make sure you're using it. And a lot of the times you can decide on how you're going to develop your silos out through the keyword research process. And in fact, we may even, by the time this recording gets out to everybody, we may even have a keyword research done for you service that even will have like suggested silos and everything ready and available for you, if that's something that you would like for us to help you develop that out instead of doing it on your own. Okay, Marco, you want to comment on that real quick?
Yeah, no, sorry about that. The silo architecture, I always tout Jeffrey Smith's training, right? Ultimate SEO boot or SEO Ultimate Bootcamp. I forget what it's called, but in any case, it's how you structure the website so that the search engine and the user has a really easy time following through on, let's say, if you're doing yellow widgets, right? It's structured in such a way that you will be giving the person all of the information that they need about yellow widgets before you move on to red, blue, and whatever other type of widget there is that you care to talk about. And so it's just a really good way of separating your content and not only feeding it to the search engine, but feeding it to the user so that the user experience is much better when you're delivering content in this manner.
Yeah. All right. So next, guys, mark up your site with JSON-LD structured data. You can find some of that on SERPspace.com. There's a tools section, and you can find a structured data generator there. For different types of, whatever type of website it is that you're promoting or asset, depending on what it is. It could be a local business. It could be a blog post or an article that you're trying to promote, a video, whatever. And there's structured data, the different types of markup for that. Again, I can't get into too much structured data stuff here other than it's important because it's basically a language that the search engines, it's written for the search engines, right? It gives them a way to be able to decipher what the content is about, and it assigns entities and blah blah. And again, I don't want to overwhelm anybody here. It's just, it will help with SEO to have structured data. Let's put it that way. And you don't need to learn how. If you want to, you can certainly learn about why it works so well and what it is. And it's an evolving thing right now. Structured data is, so it's constantly being updated and added to. But just know that it works, and it works really well for SEO. And it's important to try to add structured data markup where you can, when possible. Okay. And there's some tools like we mentioned on SERPspace.com that it's called the structured data generator that will help you to generate the code needed. Okay. All right. We're going to keep moving. Backlinks. So we're going to talk about new sites first, and we're going to go through the process of new sites and existing sites first. New sites first, then existing or established sites, and then we'll talk about YouTube as well. So we're going to kind of roll through these rather quickly, only because it's similar process for all three. Okay, just slightly different. Okay. So with new sites, guys, always start with press releases. We have a press release service available inside of ServSpace also. I'll be 100% transparent. I always try to be with our members and our students. And I use our ServSpace press release services, which there's 2 different like tiers or levels there for press releases and distributions there. And I use both of those services as well as some external services outside of ServSpace. And the reason why is because I like having a diversity of press release distribution services, because it gives me a diversity of inbound links. There's different publications that they get syndicated to. Okay. And so I like to have a diversity. So I use a whole bunch of different types of services. My primary 2 are certainly within ServSpace, because it's a lot cheaper for me to do it that way than it is anywhere else. You know, being part owner of it and all. But press releases are incredibly powerful. It makes sense, guys, to publish or announce a new site, right? A new business, a new website being launched, a new digital asset for an existing business. Anything new at all is an excuse to create a public announcement about it. So using press releases is very natural for even brand new sites to announce a new site has been launched. Okay. And it's a great way to seed a new site with initial set of inbound links, right? And from a variety of sources too. And so again, press releases is hands down step number 1 for launching any new site. Okay. Step 2 is to build or order a single tier branded syndication network. You know, we recommend, if you're trying to create a business out of this, guys, that you order a single tier 1 branded syndication network from ServSpace, so that you don't have to take the time to learn how to build it yourself and go through it takes time to build them, right? It's a tedious process. It works incredibly well, but you know, I would encourage you, if you're going to be using them a lot, syndication networks, to still perhaps go through the training, but not actually build them yourselves, maybe more than just 1 or 2, so that you're familiar with how they all work, right? Because we're talking about helping you guys to create revenue and start to scale your business, right? And building syndication networks, while it is something that you can do to make money from, it's not the best use of your time, especially when you have literally available to you a team of highly trained network builders, but that have been trained by us, right? And that's all they do full time, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, is 40 hours per week, you know, is build networks. So they're really good at it and they're efficient at it. And for, you know, under $100, you can order a syndication network from us and it will be delivered to you in good working condition while you're working on selling and making money and, you know, producing results. If that makes sense. Okay. But that's number 2. Build a small boosting package of links to the network. We actually had a Hump Day Hangout just recently where somebody was talking about link building and how often I do it, and you know, do I do it every couple of months, so on and so forth. To be honest with you, I typically when I launch a new site, I have the syndication network built, and I start to seed that network with some content by publishing a couple of posts. I'd usually publish between 3 to 5 posts on the blog itself, which syndicates out to the network to help kind of seed or season that network with content. And then I start building links to it with just the smallest link building package inside of ServSpace. I go for the full 3 tiers, but I always go with the smallest amount. And then that's typically where I leave it unless I need it, because usually all the other stuff that I end up doing to my new sites will get me the results that I'm looking for, to where I don't need to continually build links. I used to do a lot more link building in the past to all of my network properties, but we found that combined with all the other methods that we're sharing with you guys here in this battle plan, that at least I found in my experience that link building isn't quite as critical to continue doing. It's just upfront initially when it needs a good push. And so therefore I'll use the small boosting package of links to the network. That helps that initial content to have a little bit more oomph to it, a little bit more ass to it, so to speak, to help the site start getting some traction quicker. And then a lot of the other stuff that we do, including press releases and citations and drive stacks and all these other things, really help to reinforce and add to that momentum. So what do you guys want to say about link building? Because I know you both have some pretty strong opinions about it now too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And you know, with the whole, everything starts with keyword research, right? Like that's step number 1. Then step number 2 is on-site SEO. If you have those 2 laid out at this point in time, we're at this point in time in SEO. That's why we try to make these update webinars and keep them current. you could be very well on your way to, you know, to get a decent amount of visitors, depending on your niche and depending on competition. But I totally agree. In terms of backlinks, they're needed, but they're not as vital as, I don't know, 5 years ago, you know? So that's why we're saying start with keyword research, then move into on-site SEO, and then start boosting slowly. Just do the minimum amount of effort, of work required to actually get your results. Like, don't go crazy. You can get sandbox. I mean, Marco can talk a little bit about that, but that's my intake on it. I mean, this is slowly and steady wins the race in this case.
Yeah, I mean that is true, but there are certain types of links now that are gold, that they're worth their weight in gold, and that's any link from something that's already trusted and authoritative. Now, I'm not talking about trust flow and domain authority and all that bullshit that people are fed and all of it, from all of the other ninjas and gurus. And I'm not an expert, guys. I'm not a ninja SEO or whatever. I'm just a guy who likes to tinker on the web. I like to mess with stuff. And from the stuff that I test, I get back results. And then I try to repeat the results. When I can repeat the results, I go out and I reach out to either Bradley or anybody else working with me. Hey, see if you can replicate the results that I got, because that validates my results and lets me know that I'm on the right track. We keep testing until we can replicate time after time. And what we know about links is that if you can get a link on anything that's related to whatever niche you're in, it's money. If you can get activity on that link, wherever that link is situated, it's even more money. It's activity, relevance, and if that website where that link is located has trust and authority, then I mean that's just, it's money in your pocket, because Google will transfer everything through that link over to your website, with the caveat that it has to be a do follow link. Not all do follow links are good links anymore, and not all no follow links are bad links. It's just getting the right types of links. And the way that we do it is absolutely through what Bradley just mentioned. You build out that syndication network, which gets powered up over time. Where is that syndication network? Well, it's in trusted and authoritative websites. And you're going to get trust and authority not only from those websites, but from the content that you post on those websites, which is totally relevant to whatever it is that you're doing. The boosting package that you're going to get is from our link builder, who has been with us for years. He's been with Bradley even longer. And he has an aged network of things that are relevant in your niche. And so when you get a boosting package from him, it's links that are relevant to whatever it is that you're doing. And so since these are so powerful, you don't need a whole bunch of them. As a matter of fact, a whole bunch now looks totally unnatural.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we do, which is in step 4, is those RYS drive stacks. There's something special taking place with the way that we do RYS Reloaded. It's getting even stronger because of the way that Google treats the algorithm, and because of the way that we do things in RYS Reloaded. I don't want to get into a discussion about iframes in this, because I want to keep it basic. But guys, I suggest that you do research on iframes, find out all you need to know, get all the information that you can. Whoever tells you that they don't work is full of shit, and you can tell them that Marco said so.
I agree with that. And guys, again, yeah, that's beyond the scope of today's training, but we, Marco and Rob, the co-creators of RYS Reloaded, or RYS Academy Reloaded, they go into great detail on how to use iframes, because iframes act as a do follow link, and there's iframe stacking and all kinds of stuff that's talked about in RYS Reloaded. So if you guys are into advanced training and you want to learn like the real nitty gritty type stuff that you can apply to get like better results than anybody else on the web, then hey, that's going to be the place for you to go, is RYS Academy Reloaded. Okay. So that's the next step. Step 4 is to build or order an RYS drive stack. Again, if you want to build it yourself, I recommend you go through the training, because otherwise it will literally be ineffective. Plus, there are other places out on the web right now that are selling done for you Google Drive stacks, and they call them by various names, Cloud Links and all these other things, Google Cloud Links and all these other things. But you know, a lot of them out there are not built correctly or to the methods that we had developed originally anyways, and so they're just ineffective. And how do we know? Because we get support tickets coming in where people say, I built a drive stack, or I bought a drive stack, and I saw no movement in my digital assets. And then we always follow up with, well, did you buy it from us? Because if so, we'll take a look and we'll see where, you know, if it was built correctly and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, we have a great team of builders for all that. And about 90, you know, 9 out of 10 times that we get or 10 out of 10 times really, that we get that sort of a support request, people say, oh no, well, I bought it from Fiverr or I bought it from a different provider. Well, why are you coming to us? And the reason why they're coming to us is because they know it was our method to begin with, like that we developed. And Marco and Rob and and some other co-creators from the original development of RYS Academy. So people know that they came from us, but then they go buy them somewhere else because they may be cheaper. And then they come to us to say, hey, it's not working. And so what I'm recommending, guys, is that, you know, if you want to go through the time to learn all of it, certainly join RYS Academy Reloaded. And you can do it on your own. But just like I mentioned with syndication networks, it's not recommended to build them on your own. Understanding how they work, yes, we recommend that. But building them on your own, I don't recommend it, because you can hire a team of our team of builders that have been trained by us to build them to our specifications, which we know works. Time and time again, we've been able to prove that, right? So save your time and energy, and go out and sell the service, sell your services to clients, and then hire it out so that you can get it done efficiently and correctly without having to do it yourself. All right. Small boosting package of links, to the RYS stack. Just the same type of package that you do for the syndication network, guys. It's just a way to boost it initially. And in step 6, which is optional, if you want to build private blog networks, you know, they do still work. You can still get some good ranking improvements from using sites that you built content out on that had been relevant at some point, you know, like were topically relevant to whatever it is you're going to be linking to, that have good metrics, they're clean inbound link profiles, all of that. If you want to build out your own blog network, you can learn how to do all of that, which is going to take you a lot of time. There was a lot of complexity to building out a blog network now the correct way. Okay. We don't really recommend it anymore. That's why it says optional for step 6. However, we know that a lot of people in this industry still absolutely believe that blog networks are critical to their success. And so because of that, we do have a PBN, or private blog network domain service, inside of SERPspace, that our link building manager, Dedia, who Marco just referenced a moment ago, his team of builders, link builders, they also can identify expired domains and domains that are available for registration that have been dropped or expired at some point. And they do all of the research on the domains. And the domains that we can return or provide inside of SERPspace for the PBN domains are really clean link profiles. They're good domains. So if you're one of the people that just insist on using private blog networks and building them out, then this is a really good source for you to find already screened domains that have been vetted. Okay. But again, we don't typically recommend that. But again, it is something that can be used if you know what you're doing and how to build them out. But that's way beyond the scope of today's presentation. Step number 7 is post twice a week on your site to activate your network. That's not always the case. Sometimes you're going to be in industries that you should be posting more often. Other times it's going to be less often. So it really just depends on the industry. What you want to do is kind of look around and see remember, a lot of competitors aren't going to be using this type of a method because they're just unaware of it, which is good for you. So just because you look around and don't see like other companies that are blogging consistently doesn't mean you don't have to. We recommend, especially to start out, I've always found that a minimum of 1 post per week is required. But I like to speed my results. I know we're all kind of impatient. We all want to see results quicker than later, sooner than later, I mean. So posting twice a week is a really good start for you to start getting some traction, start getting that syndication network themed with content, and start activating inbound links and all of these start sending the signals to Google on a consistent and regular basis that you're a bona fide business that's here to stay. right? And that's part of the reason we say posting twice a week. All right, cool. So now age sites, guys, very similar. So
if I can, before you move on,
please.
On step 7, post twice a week, I'd like to say that you're absolutely right as far as starting to publish. Once you do start publishing, you have to maintain that publishing frequency. And the reason why is that we now know there's a cause and effect relationship between activity and rankings, meaning that if you're active on your blog and it's being syndicated through the properties and people are taking action in all these different social media and coming back to your website or wherever it is that you're leading them, that's going to have an effect on rankings. And especially over time, as your network ages and it gets boosted and it has that much more trust and authority. And we're especially seeing that now that we're in the mobile first algorithm, now that the mobile first algorithm is in effect. We're seeing that, and we're seeing that through our new course that we developed, the local GMB Pro. I mean, we have shown time after time that there is a cause and effect relationship. It'll take way longer when you're in a what's called a TLD, or a top level domain, which is usually what we recommend, a self-hosted WordPress website. But if you're active and you keep your posting frequency and you stay true to it, you're going to be rewarded. There's no doubt that that's going to happen because of the way that the algorithm is now coded.
Yeah, I agree with that. So guys, for age sites, very similar. Okay. Press releases. We didn't mention this perhaps in the first slide about new sites, but as far as your backlinks inside the press releases, I'm glad it was on this one because it's worth mentioning. When you're going to create a link within a press release, guys, you want to make sure that you're using 100% URL or brand anchor text for your URL. So like I typically don't even use anchor text anymore. Well, I do for very select reasons, which I'm not going to get into here, but for press releases, most of the time now, I would say for the vast majority of links that I build into a press release, they're going to be naked URLs, and that's pretty normal. If you look at most press releases now, that's how most press release distribution companies, which also provide the writing services in most cases, will display links as naked URLs. So that's just like posting the link. And then, it's a clickable link. So it's a hyperlinked link, but you're looking at the link in text format, right? Or you could use the brand name. That makes sense too, because that's not a spam signal to have links with the brand name as the anchor text pointing to a branded site, right? That's not a spam signal. I don't think anybody's ever been punished for over optimization of brand anchors unless the brand anchor is an exact match keyword, right? So again, think about whenever you're linking from press releases to either new or existing sites, I don't recommend that you use keywords unless you're an advanced SEO, keyword anchor text, excuse me, unless you're an advanced SEO and you know what you're doing. And there are times where you would want to do something like that, but for direct linking to your money site, I recommend that you stick with 100% URL and brand anchor text. And that goes for both age sites, guys, and new sites. Okay. So step 2, build and order single syndication network. If it doesn't already exist, all businesses, all websites should have syndication networks, guys, because it helps to reinforce the brand, helps you to claim your footprint on the web, right? And Marco's always made jokes about if his dog stands still long enough, he gets a syndication ring around his neck, and that's funny, but that's true. So we mean that if you have, if you're doing anything on the web, if you have any sort of digital entity that you're working on that doesn't have a syndication network, that's an opportunity for you to create like another source of revenue, right? Sell that as a service to any business that you're working on. Mark it up. You can buy them for under $100 from SERP Space, and you can sell them for $600, $700, $800, right? As a line item to your client. Okay, so it's a great source of revenue, and they should have them. Same thing with the links. An age site, guys. If it's an age site, you could go for, especially if you've had a network that you have already been posting to, then you can go a little bit more aggressive with links. You can go with a medium or a large link package, especially because it's an existing site. It's been around for perhaps some time. It's got some content, some authority. It's gone past the first 90 days in Google's index, which is typically like a probationary period. Like all these things that are kind of working for it as an age site, So you can be a bit more aggressive. You don't have to be. You can start off doing a small boosting package, which is what I typically do. And then I check to see what kind of an effect that has over the course of several weeks. And if I see that I'm not seeing as much of a boost as I had anticipated, then I'll go back and order another link building package. But some people like to come out guns blazing right out of the gate. And so they'll come out with a medium or large package. And that's certainly acceptable too, if it's an age site. And if you're going to be pointing links to your network, which is what we talk about doing, then I recommend you go light or conservative. If it's a newer network, if it's a bit more aged, you can go heavier. All right. Build or drive an ROIS stack. We talked about that before. It's absolutely critical. Very much, guys, you're seeing a theme here, right? Press releases, syndication networks, drive stacks. Press releases, syndication networks, drive stacks. There's a reason. They work. They work really well. Okay, so this is no different. For an age site, absolutely you should have it. Okay, small boosting package of links to that drive stack. Okay, and in step 6, optional. If you're going to be using PBNs, again, you're going to need for age sites. That's not necessarily true. Maybe I don't want to mislead people here. Just because a site's age doesn't mean it needs more PBN links. What we're saying is typically an age site, you're going to be looking to, if it's aged, it's probably because it's generating you revenue already, or it's a client site or whatever. And if you want to help maintain rankings, for longer, blah, 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 then having more PBN domains, PBN sites within your private blog network is probably going to be required, right? As the project carries on or continues to grow, that kind of thing. So if that's part of your strategy, then you may need more PBN domains. So once again, you can get them from SerpSpace. Continue posting twice a week to activate your network. As Marco said, once you start posting, you kind of want to maintain it. Now, I'll be 100% transparent. A lot of my lead gen sites, I post on the blog long enough to get it to rank in the maps pack. And once it ranks in the maps pack, I usually start winding the post down, the frequency of post down, because it's an added expense. So I typically don't, for all of my lead gen sites, continue posting once they're ranked. Occasionally they'll start to slip. And so I'll get my VA to go back in and curate a couple more posts to be syndicated out across the network. And I get the boost back, the ranking boost that I wanted. But for clients, guys, there's no reason why you shouldn't make that a part of your ongoing monthly SEO charges. Content marketing is part of an SEO strategy, in my opinion. And so because of that, you basically turn that on, the content marketing on, and you leave it on, right? And in my explanation, and I don't do it just so that I make the money. I do it because I tell the client, listen, Mr. or Mrs. business owner, if we stop the posting after you've achieved your, if you've already achieved the results you want as far as ranking, then what happens over time is you'll start to slip. And then it's going to be, oh no, we need you to start posting again. We want to get our rankings back. And you're going to be mad because it could take a few weeks or a couple months, whatever, for you to regain the position that you would have maintained had you continued just posting. So it's a security. It's a level of security, right? It's like an insurance policy to help maintain the rankings or to help maintain results. Because, I don't always promise rankings either. So, and I know Marco could talk about that. But once you start posting, guys, for client work especially, I recommend that you just keep your foot on the gas. Don't take your foot off. Keep proceeding with the posts. Okay. You guys want to comment on that before I move?
Yeah, to me, it's just really simple. You never promise rankings because you're not really 100% sure ever whether you can come through. I mean, you might target, 100 keywords, and you might be really good and get 70, 80 keywords. But there's some that you aren't getting, and the client will always focus on the ones that you're not getting rather than the ones that you got. Where if you instead tell the client, I'm going to get you results, and the results that I'm going to get is either people filling out your contact form, calling you, or whatever action it is that the client wants on the website, or whatever your property might be, whatever action you require, so that if you concentrate on that, now you're not worried about, wow, this keyword isn't really performing for me, I wonder why. You just concentrate on all of the others that are producing, and seeing which ones now you can concentrate on to bring up without even telling the client what it is that you're doing, because the client doesn't have to know. All the client has to see, okay, I see my bottom line, what it was, and I see what it is now. So again, this is a cause and effect relationship. I hired this guy, and this month I made more money, or last month. This month I'm making even more. Next month, by logic, I should make more. And that's the kind of reasoning that you want. If not, you're going to have to educate your client on SEO and why some keywords don't rank. And that's a slippery slope that nobody wants to go down. I've been there, and it sucks having to talk to a client and explain why a certain keyword isn't ranking.
Agreed. So local sites, we'll move on to that. This is my specialty. I love local, guys. That's primarily all I do anymore at all. I've kind of pretty much given up affiliate work just because I enjoy local. So use the guide for new and age sites accordingly. If it's a new local site, use that step-by-step process, which is very similar anyways. If it's aged, then you can go a little bit more aggressive. Create a Google My Maps. It's something that we also cover inside of RYS Academy and Academy Reloaded. We talk a lot about Google My Maps, and we talk about all this stuff in Semantic Mastery Mastermind as well, guys. So we can, again, I recommend if you want to get real in-depth training on how to properly optimize, create and optimize a Google My Map, then you're going to have to go to RYS Academy Reloaded, because that's where we keep a lot of that. That's what Marco has developed over there is insane. And there's some real ninja stuff that can be done with Google My Maps. But either way, go create one of those. Plus, you can also go to SERPspace and order the Maps Powerhouse embeds. So if you're not familiar with that, we have 2 syndication networks or broadcasting networks, embed networks, whatever you want to call them, that we submit, that you guys have access to, right? That you can syndicate videos to or embed videos to the network, and also maps. It's any sort of like an iframe embed. And there's, again, we just talked in a previous slide about the power of iframes, which is taught in RYS Academy Reloaded. We know that it's incredibly powerful. The actors do follow links, and it helps to be able to embed those types of iframes, and especially on aged and themed sites, which is what our Video Powerhouse and Maps Powerhouse networks have been. We've very similar to our link building networks. We have a bunch of themed, categorical themed, right? So themed by category type sites out there that have their self-hosted WordPress sites. Well, many of them, but we have a mix of other types of sites as well. And they each have their own syndication network. And so each one of the sites that we're embedding on end up getting secondary embeds through the syndication networks. And then you can still opt to have even additional secondary embeds through our link building networks that allow embeds, right? So again, the same link building networks that our link building team has built and has aged over the years. I mean, and some of these networks, guys, are several years old. So they're well-themed, well-established networks. We can also embed on many of those sites. So we have secondary embeds too, outside of Video Powerhouse and Maps Powerhouse network, if that makes sense. And so again, we highly recommend that you use Google My Maps as well as the Google My Business Maps. Those are 2 different things, guys. The Google My Business Map is when you go do a brand search for a company that's got a local Google My Business profile, and you see them come up in the knowledge panel, and you click on the map, and then you can click the share URL and grab the embed code for that map. That's the Google My Business Map. My Maps is different. That's something you would create inside of Drive or order it and have us create it for you. But either way, both of those are embed opportunities for local that are incredibly powerful. So we recommend repeating step number 3 for both My Maps and for Google My Maps, or excuse me, Google My Business Map. Okay. Same thing with build and RYS. And I meant to change that to Drive Stack. So that's a typo, guys. But build or order an RYS Drive Stack, buy a small boosting package of links for that, and order a batch of citations. We also provide citations inside of SERPspace, and there's a number of other sources out there on the web that can provide you with citations. So again, the important thing is data consistency with citations, and then ordering links to those citations. So very similar. Remember, all these things that we're talking about, syndication networks, press releases, drive stacks, and now in this case, citations, those are all tier 1 links, guys. They're all links. They're tier 1 links. They're links that are linking directly to the money site. So we talk about all these link building packages to those tier 1 sites as opposed direct to your money site, because you can allow those tier 1 sites to act as an SEO firewall. So you can be more aggressive to linking to them without linking directly to your money site, which Google will penalize if you're too aggressive. Okay. So all of these things you can do for local, guys. This is just, it's a slam dunk. Now, combined with the other method that we're going to talk about here in another slide or two, which is the local GMB Pro method. For those of you that are doing local stuff, like it's just crazy because we can actually get incredible results staying entirely within Google's Google My Business ecosystem or dashboard, so to within their tools and services. So adding this additional stuff here that you're looking at on this slide will just get you results so much faster. It's insane. Like so fast your head will spin. And it's just really, really crazy. Like I feel like there's no local market that we can't dominate right now when we combine the local GMB Pro method with this here. So you guys want to comment on that before I move on?
Okay. I thought that was perfect. So I don't think there's anything for me to add.
Very good. Step number 7 is to stack press releases consistently. Guys, if you don't know, we talk about using the press releases for every one of these examples here, news sites, age sites, and local sites. But press releases are incredibly powerful for local guys. For those of you trying to rank in the local maps pack, press releases, I've proven time and time again, and that's what the local PR Pro course is all about, where I literally tested this across over a dozen different properties, and out of 15 properties that I tested this on, some of which had none of the other stuff, no syndication network, no drive stack. It was just a single page landing page, and I was still able to rank #1 in maps and Google Maps for my chosen keywords by using just press releases. So I'm not encouraging you to go out and just use press releases. I encourage you to use all of the things that we're talking about, because you'll get better results quicker, and they'll typically stick, right, without having potential issues down the road. What I'm saying is I know press releases are incredibly powerful for ranking maps, so you should absolutely be using them. When we talk about press release stacking, that's kind of a method where you can, it's kind of a more of an advanced interlinking method within press releases and ways to kind of silo press releases. We talk about all of that inside of Local PR Pro. That combined, any of you guys doing local, you should be absolutely considering Local PR Pro as well as Local GMB Pro, because those two things combined they're just like, it's like a match made in heaven. It's insane. So go check out those. You'll find out more about PR stacking. And then number 8 is to remember to stay consistent, guys. Just like we mentioned in the previous slides, post regularly to your syndication network, solicit reviews from customers, and reply to those reviews in Google My Business. Because, guys, that's content and activity, right? Every time a customer leaves a review on Google Maps profile, then that's activity, and it gives you the opportunity to come in, or the business the opportunity to come in and reply and inject additional keywords and some more relevancy, right, into that actual into the content, the context of the review. And so that really helps. And Google is absolutely rewarding those that are active in their Google My Business profiles or dashboards. Okay. And so and plus it just shows other people, like potential customers of that business, when they're searching, it shows that you're active and engaged with your customers, right? It's a good signal. It's a good sign. Reputation is important. We don't talk about that much in here because we talk about SEO, but reputation is very much becoming a part of SEO for local businesses, for local SEO, right? Reputation is very much becoming a part of that. The 3 big ones that I have found, typically I work with mostly contractors, guys, but what I have found, the 3 big review sites that have the most impact on search position, on SEO, are Google Maps, Facebook, and Yelp. That's where I found that have the 3 biggest impacts of on SEO. Is if you can start collecting reviews in Google Maps, Facebook, and Yelp, then you'll see an increase in rankings, like an improvement in rankings, even if all you did was start collecting more reviews. Okay. Publish and distribute a press release for every new 5-star review. That's kind of a method that I talk about in Local PR Pro. But every time you get a 5-star review, that's another excuse to publish a press release, to announce it to the world, and then to link back to that review site. And there's some real ninja stuff that we talk about on how you can do even more stuff with those reviews to produce content for your own, for the blog, and iframe stacking within the reviews, the blog posts, showcasing the reviews, all kinds of stuff. And again, that's talked about in Local PR Pro. Okay. All right, we're going to move on. So I'm going to let Marco take this one, but no website, no problem. This is what we've been talking about, guys. With Local GMB Pro, this is the newest training course as of the time of this recording. It's our most recent launch. It's the most recent development that Marco and the co-creator Rob Beal has been developing now for several months. And we have been seeing incredible results with it. You know, I do mostly, I pretty much do nothing but local anymore. And I do a lot of lead gen. I work with a lot of contractors, and this method has just been insane for generating leads almost overnight without all the SEO stuff. Now, combining that for many of my existing clients, I've just added this as an additional service on top of what I've already been doing for them for SEO and for lead generation. And they're getting even better results now, because they were getting results before from my SEO and lead gen work, but now they're getting the leads generated from this process as well. And so they're getting a lot more leads, and everybody's happy. And it's really crazy. So Mark, I'll let you chat about this for a bit.
Yeah, let me try to condense the story of how this came about, because this is all about serendipity, being at the right place at the right time. It's not that I'm the smartest guy in the world. It's just that when I see an opportunity, I can kind of put a test together and see whether what I'm seeing is actually true, and how that can be translated into money. Because really, what we're all after, if we're in this business, is we're after the money. We want money. And so I had an affiliate website. I started playing with the GMB. That was right in the middle last year, August, during the release of ROIS Academy Reloaded. And so I just set it aside. I did nothing. I concentrated on ROIS Reloaded. During that time, I was also trying to pitch an attorney and trying to close an attorney for SEO services, but she wanted nothing on her website. She wanted nothing that could damage the brand. And so I don't know what made me go and look at her Google My Business listing, but it wasn't even verified. So here's this attorney in New York City who wants to keep her name squeaky clean and nothing bad happening, no SEO stuff done to her, and she doesn't have a verified GMB. So I approached her that way. Hey, look, let's get your GMB verified. Let's do some of the stuff that we're supposed to do in there. We'll get some images. We'll get people looking at it. And then I started in on that, and I started doing just tons of activity, images, and then I started seeing results. And for whatever reason, I thought of my affiliate GMB. I went back and looked, and during this time, it was just before August. So we're talking about a 4 or 5 month period. I had made like $300 to $400 a month, total of $1,600 on something that I had left alone and done nothing with. But for some reason, Google was displaying it. It was giving it love. I go back to the attorney and start working on it, do some of the stuff that I had done on that Google My Business listing. And I just started seeing these just crazy results. Just out of nowhere, people just start calling. They start asking for directions to the website. They start visiting the website. And so now I'm collecting all of this information and I'm giving it to the lawyer. And I'm saying, look, all of these things are happening. The way I closed it was the GMB, and whatever calls came through, anything over 20 calls, she would have to pay me my monthly fee, which is quite high. I'm not going to say it here, but my monthly fee is quite high. And so I told her, when it gets to 20 calls a month, well, we did that inside of 3 weeks, the 20 calls. 20 verified leads, people that came and who called her and actually made an appointment or set something up, came to the office, whatever it is that we decided. We met that. And I'm like, oh man, I'm onto something. So I reach out to Rob and I say, hey dude, you got to try to replicate this. Do this, and that, which is where we started on that Google Doc that we shared with you, Bradley. We just started sharing our thoughts on all of the different things that we could do to this. But basically what this is, it's something that's so simple that you could all probably figure out if you go in there and start playing long enough. You spend what is it now, 8 months that I spent in there looking through, and about 5 months that Rob and I were in it for, actually, or the 2 months that Bradley's been working on setting this up, the training and doing the over-the-shoulder videos. But this is what happened. It was wham. So now then comes Bradley. And Bradley, you can tell your story better than I can, but were you able to replicate the results according to the things that we told you needed to do?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's crazy because I started applying this to one client that I just picked up was it was a new client, and so I decided to make the case study for the training around this particular client. And you know, we immediately, when I started applying these methods, I started seeing results come in, and so I started applying it to some of my lead gen properties and seeing results over there, more phone calls coming in, link clicks to the website, that kind of thing, which can all be quantified via Google My Business Insights, which is like analytics for insights. And it's a very simple report, very easy to understand, unlike an analytics report, right? So that's part of the reason I like it. It's simple, it's easy to understand, and you can see and quantify your results almost immediately. And so then I actually pitched, because I was so excited about it, I even contacted my 3 longest running clients and offered to them to provide this as a service, because I told them how excited I was about the results. And I don't pitch my existing clients on new services all the time, guys. In fact, most of my longest running clients, they never hear from me other than, you know, I provide them monthly reports. When they do get pitched something from me, it's only because I think it's absolutely the next thing that they should be doing. And so most of the time, all I have to do is just, you know, mention it to them, and they're like, okay, I'm in. And so I pitched it to 3 of them. 2 of them took me up on it, because essentially what I just said, one of them was immediately like, I'm in. The other client spent, we conversed back and forth with about 12 replies in an email thread. But eventually he was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. You know, I'm excited now. He was an inquisitive type, so he wanted to know a little bit more about the process and blah, blah, blah. And the other client, he's already getting such good results from the SEO work that I'm doing. He said he couldn't handle more calls. So I've done such a good job. I've actually worked myself out of work, so to speak. But I started applying it to them immediately. Well, I trained a VA at this point. I trained a VA to do this process for me, so that it's not something that I'm doing. And she started applying this method to those those 2 clients, and they're already seeing results. And so we're talking about, now my VA's only been doing it now for 2 weeks full time, and we're seeing crazy results. So I'm starting to assign my VA more and more projects, because I'm giving her more of my lead gen properties. So it absolutely works, and it works incredibly well. And just so you know, inside of GMB Pro, I've also provided all the process and training docs that I gave to my virtual assistant, so that anybody that joins that will have the ability to go out and provide this, take the docs that I've already created, process docs and training, and hand it to a virtual assistant to have them do it. Because again, just like I've mentioned several times throughout this, you know, once again, it's a theme, guys. Don't be doing all this grunt work yourself, right? The battle plan is about, these are the steps that you do. It doesn't mean you need to do all of those steps. You personally, I mean. It means you can direct or delegate that work to be done. And so Local GMB Pro is absolutely an effective way to generate leads from within Google without traditional SEO or PPC. And it can be done, achieved almost overnight. And you can outsource pretty much the entire the entire process. And I provided the process docs inside the training. So with that, I recommend that you go check that out. And we're going to keep moving, because we want to wrap this up in about 10 minutes if possible, guys. Backlinks. We're going to get to YouTube videos now, guys. I know a lot of you probably do video marketing, video SEO. I would also encourage you to consider doing video PPC now, video advertising or AdWords for video. There's a lot of great traffic to be had from YouTube. And using AdWords for YouTube, and clicks views are inexpensive. So as long as you have a compelling video, a compelling message, then you should be able to get clicks rather inexpensive too. So I recommend, I'm sorry guys, I got a phone call coming in. Bear with me while I hang up on it. I don't know if you heard it on your end, but I could hear it. Okay. So backlinks for YouTube's guys, or for video SEO really is what we're going to be talking about here. But I did want to mention AdWords for video. We'll get to that at the last point on this slide as well, because that can also be beneficial for SEO, for ranking videos. And we'll talk about that in a moment. However, first and foremost, if you're going to be doing video marketing, guys, silo your YouTube channel. We talked about earlier in this webinar, we talked about how important it is to silo your websites if you're building websites. Okay. So all of this is determined in your keyword research. You can develop out your silos and your content strategy in your keyword research. Well, the same goes when you start video marketing. the same applies. You want to silo your YouTube channel. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's simple. You do it with playlists. We have a training course called YouTube Silo Academy. Very inexpensive. I think you can buy it for $7. Most of the time, if you've bought any one of our products, you can get access to it inside of the bonus site that you get access to anyways. So my point is, just go make sure you go through the training. The training's four or 5 years old now. I think it's 4 years old at least. But it doesn't matter. It's timeless. It's not gonna. It hasn't changed. The interface of YouTube may have changed slightly, but the training and the themes and the understanding, like how to create silos with playlists, are still the same, and how to interlink videos within playlists and all that. So highly recommend you go through that training. All right, and apply that. It's going to help. Build or order a syndication network for your YouTube channel. If it's for a brand that already has a syndication network, you can use the same branded syndication network to trigger republishing of both blog posts from your blog and videos from your YouTube channel. That's perfectly fine. But just keep in mind, with YouTube, guys, there are no footprint issues. So you can literally buy dozens of syndication networks or build dozens of syndication networks if you wanted to, and attach them to the same YouTube channel. And all that's going to do is help. So far to this day, still, there is no footprint issues with syndicating YouTube videos, republishing YouTube videos. Okay. It doesn't cause problems like it would if you built a whole bunch of syndication networks and like persona-based syndication networks and tied them to or connected them to your blog for your money site, and then started publishing content and republishing it on all those different persona-based Web 2.0 accounts. That's a footprint. Google frowns upon that. That could cause problems for your rank for ranking your website. But for YouTube videos, it's different. Now you're acting as a publisher for Google. You're putting Google's code out on the web, right? And so because of that, Google rewards embeds. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with embeds and how effective they are. That's why we talked about Video Powerhouse, and we talked about Maps Powerhouse before. We're going to talk about Video Powerhouse on this slide. Well, you can automate all of that with syndication networks. So keep in mind, you can be really aggressive with syndication networks for YouTube. And I highly recommend that you do. I typically, for all syndication networks, or excuse me, for YouTube channels that I use for heavy promotion stuff, for SEO projects and such, I usually have a minimum of 3 full 2-tier networks, which ends up being like, 3 or 4 full 2-tier networks, which ends up between 12 to 16 rings, syndication rings. And that's pretty much my standard go-to. When I know I'm going to start a new video project, I set up a YouTube channel, and then I'll order 3 or 4 full 2-tier syndication networks to be attached. And all of this can be done and ordered in SerpSpace, guys, so that when I upload a video, I'm literally being syndicated out to across hundreds of properties on autopilot. Okay. And over time, they become very, very powerful to where all you need to do is upload a damn video to your channel and it ranks. So again, if you're going to be doing a lot of video SEO work, guys, or video marketing work, period, then I recommend you take the time to build up a channel and multiple syndication networks for it, because it'll become very, very powerful for you and make your job a lot easier and give you the ability to repeat results consistently and reliably. Okay. So after syndication networks, which are so critical for video stuff, get 50 primary embeds, secondary embeds, and in Web 2.0 embeds from Video Powerhouse. Okay, guys, Video Powerhouse, our networks over there are broadcasting or embed network or broadcasting network, whatever you want to call it. We built that, I'd say 2.5, going on almost 3 years ago now. So, and we've been posting to them in themed categories for 2 to 3 years now, right? So think about that. And we've been building links to these networks. They have their own syndication networks. Like, we're talking about aged videos network sites now that have been like continually themed with new content on a regular basis for years. So they're very, very powerful. So we always recommend going in, guys. Again, I'm going to be transparent. I'm not going to tell you to go in and order 500 embeds right off the bat. I don't do that. I go in and order usually anywhere between 25 to 50 first tier embeds, and I go a little bit heavier on second and third tier embeds. But on the first tier embeds, I usually go rather light with new videos, right? I'll do 25 to 50 embeds, and that's it. And then I'll add the secondary and third level embeds or Web 2 embeds. And then I'll monitor the results. What kind of an effect has that had? If it achieved, because a lot of times I'll get the results I wanted just from that level of embed package, right? From being conservative, I'll get the results I want. I just have to be patient. But if I wait 3 weeks or a month and I'm not seeing the results, it's not ranked as well as I want, then I'll go in and order another boosting package, another embed package. But I always try to get the results with the least amount of effort so that I have plenty left in the tank for if I need it. Because you'd be surprised. A lot of times, if you just exercise a little bit of patience, you'll end up getting results that you didn't think were possible with less work. Okay. So also, you can order link building. That still works for YouTube videos. It's not the primary ranking factor anymore. Links are not. Engagement is. However, it still does help. So you can order a small boosting package of links from ServeSpace to your playlist or to your channel, depending on what your goals are, what your objectives are. It makes sense to be more targeted, to do it directly to a playlist if you're in something more competitive. But if you're just trying to boost everything that goes to your channel, then you can boost your channel itself. You can also boost individual YouTube URLs, guys, if you needed to, for something really competitive.
And speaking of engagement, which is the #1 factor in YouTube right now, we do have, for those who are heavy into YouTube, we're currently in beta for our real YouTube views. We don't even have a name for what it is, but it's real people coming to view your videos, and it'll actually be cheaper than running YouTube ads. So we're doing it by interest, we're doing it by radius, city, state, or country, or even global. Like if you want your video to blow up globally, you'll be able to buy views and mimic something going viral. But I say mimic, but it's real people. And these people, if you have your CTAs in place, if you have your subscription call in the right place, then people are going to take action on your video. But that's dependent on how good your video is. I don't recommend this for anyone that's just throwing up videos to see if they'll rank. This is for people who have a quality video and who can draw people's interest. And I mean, you can't mimic this with a bot, because nobody's going to act like a real person except a real person. And that's why we did it this way. These people, whatever country you're in, whatever city you're in, we can target it. We can target the radius, and you can actually get real views. So I suggest that if you're not a member of our free group in Facebook, that you go and join it, or write to support at semanticmastery.com, and they'll tell you where it is that you need to go. And just stay tuned, because that's only a few weeks away.
Yeah. So PBN domains, if you want to start building your own embed network, you can, that's still a viable solution, more so than I would say for private blog networks for website promotion. I would say, certainly if you're going to be doing a lot of video marketing, it might make sense for you to start building your own embed network. There's no doubt that's a good option for you. So PBN domains, that's a great way to get a jump start on a powerful embed network, is to buy domains that were already topically relevant and had good inbound link profiles. It's kind of a way to shortcut. Again, there's not really footprint issues with creating syndication or, broadcasting sites for embed networks. You don't have the same problems that you do with building PBN private blog networks for money sites. When you're linking direct to your money site, you don't have to worry about hiding the footprint as much. Seriously, it's not nearly as complicated. So it's a good option. And so PBN domains are a good option for that if you're doing a lot of heavy video marketing. Okay. And then last, this is optional, guys, but start an AdWords for Video campaign. I mentioned earlier, AdWords for Video is just overall a great way to generate real traffic from real users that are interested in your topics or your products or services, because you can select all that targeting inside of AdWords. It's crazy. They have what they call audiences, and they have in-market audiences and affinity audiences, and then they have like life event audiences now. And these are in-market audiences I found are incredibly effective for generating target. Not every category is in an in-market audience, but in-market audiences are people that are looking for your products or services, that are actively seeking that information, like currently, like right now, like recently. And because of that, they're much more likely to take action if you can provide a message that suits what they've been searching for, right? What they're seeking. And I found that to be a great way to get engagement on videos, to also like produce customers or opt-ins. And with geographic targeting, you can target local in a great way this way with AdWords for Video. and it provides, you're literally buying engagement from Google. So there's a spammy way to do it. There's kind of a there's another way which we're coming out with to be able to buy views, and then you can also buy like an engagement from real people, and then you can also buy engagement and views from real people directly from AdWords. And there's a benefit, by the way, guys, to SEO for when you have your channel that's you know, you've got your channel connected to AdWords and you're paying Google. There's the benefit of the engagement that the AdWords traffic produces, which helps with SEO. But there's also a benefit to paying Google for that account. Even though Google will tell you that it does not, that they do not give advertisers a boost in SEO, I've seen it time and again where they do. So you know, it does make sense to pay Google for an AdWords account. And even for video SEO, guys, just using AdWords to help rank the video, you only need like $1 a day budget. That's $30 a month. In fact, typically once I get the results for ranking a video where I want it to, like for, you know, client or lead gen or whatever, if I had $1 a day budget set up, then once I get to the top position, then I will start backing my budget down to like 50, all the way down to like 50 cents per day. That's $15 a month, right? And so $15 a month to have AdWords help you maintain your SEO position for a ranked video, that's a small price to pay, in my opinion. Okay. All right, we're going to keep moving. So what's next? We're about to wrap this up, guys. We really want to take this moment here to kind of pitch to you guys what we are ultimately hoping that you're going to do, and that's to join the Semantic Mastery Mastermind. Why? Not because we want your revenue, like we want to just squeeze you for money. That's what the reason why that's our goal is for you to join the mastermind is the battle plan is a starting point. It's kind of an easy to follow blueprint to help you to get results for whatever kind of digital asset you're trying to promote, right? Start doing that. Start applying what you learned today. Start applying some of the methods that we've talked about through these processes today. Whether you go out and purchase the products and learn it yourself, which is not the recommended way. I recommend learning about these techniques and these methods, but not actually doing the work yourself, because we have done for you services for that so that you can focus on growing your business, not doing the fulfillment of all these different services. So we're telling you to take action with what you've learned today. Apply, order the services that we provide to you. We try to price them to where they're fair. Then you can you know, mark them up and make there's plenty of room for markup for you to make a profit on these services and produce results for your clients or for your own assets. Okay. And then once you are producing positive revenue, reinvest some of that back into your business, guys. So, and in part of that is education and surrounding yourself with other successful business owners and people in your space, in SEO, in digital marketing, in social media and video marketing and PPC, local marketing consultants, affiliate marketing, whatever. Surrounding yourself with other people, investing in education and learning new methods, learning new processes, right? Learning how to outsource, learning how to manage your business, all of that stuff. And that's what the mastermind is all about. It's, you know, we encourage you to come join us when it's appropriate for you to do so. If you're just starting out and you're not making any money, it's kind of hard to justify the expense of joining the mastermind. It would be beneficial to you, but at the same time, I recommend going out and just taking baby steps, starting to produce revenue from the stuff that you can learn from this battle plan or from coming to Hump Day Hangouts. Like, well, this is Shigba, but we don't have Muhammad on here. I'm really surprised. We should have Muhammad's testimonial on here because he's another example of somebody that's come to our Hump Day Hangouts, which is free every week, and asked questions and applied what he learned from our answers. He went and took action, and from you know, the information we provided to him, he went and applied it and took action and started producing revenue. And as soon as he got positive and you know, profitable, he came and joined the mastermind, and his business has grown ever since. And Shigba right here, I said his name, I probably shouldn't have. But he talks about how he just started applying some of the methods that he learned inside the mastermind, and he quickly closed 8 clients to total revenue of over $10,000 a month just from applying stuff that he learned in the mastermind. So what I'm getting at is the mastermind isn't a first step. It is something that you should strive to do that's going to help accelerate your business growth. When you're in a position when you're ready to do that, we'll be here, and we encourage you to come join us. What do you guys say about that?
Yeah, if I may, real quick, I think that the quality of people that's on the mastermind exceeds many times the price of the tuition, because some masterminds will go for several $1,000s a year or a month. This is not even close. But the quality of people that's in there, I mean, I see people over and over again asking questions about tools, and what tool should I use for this and that. And then I remember one of the mastermind members asking about partnerships, and then Marco telling him what to do or not to do when it comes to partnerships, which could potentially save him a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things. Now, besides the fact that you get a lot of our training for free, you get prime access to all of the Semantic Mastery team. I think the quality of people and the people that are doing really, really well there. And not only that, you can actually join any free Facebook group right now. You can join a free LinkedIn community. You can ask your questions and you can try and watch YouTube videos. But it's really hard for an entrepreneur that's on the level that we're looking for. It's really hard to get actual support from peers that are at his level or better, right? So it's really hard, because usually when you get to a point when you're making some money, you've proven a concept, you're making some money every month. I think that it's really hard for really know and understand who is actually ahead of you, so that you can get a lot more value out of it. So I think that the people that are there are super talented. We're really proud of the results that they're having. So,
Marco?
Yeah, man, we have so many success stories, and I'm never gonna like put somebody out in Front Street and tell people this is how much this guy is making. But we have examples, and I'll only mention the first name. You guys can talk to him if you come to our groups, and call Brian, who went from nearly broke to last time he talked to me, he was nearly at $250,000 a year. We have people like Greg, right, who now participates because of his engagement, and because of the activity, and because of the level where he is. He now helps out in the group. Wayne is another great story, and he's right there. You guys, you can come and talk to these guys. These are real people in our groups who will gladly talk to you and tell you what their experience is with our mastermind. And it just happens time after time after time. Who are we looking for? If you're a tire kicker, if you just like sitting in the background and doing nothing, we don't want you. Go and keep doing what you're doing, because we want people who are go-getters, who are going to take this, what we've given them, apply it, right? They take it, they'll train, they'll take action, they'll make money, take the next step, which is hire VAs, go into the mastermind, make more money, and then go through the process where then they'll help out other people in the group. That's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build a community of like-minded individuals who are all about helping others, and while they're doing that, they're making boatloads of money. And that's what we're after. So once again, you're not an action taker. If you're one of those who has to think everything out to the last minute detail, forget it. Go ahead and keep doing what you're doing. But if you like to take action, if you're one of those people who says, yes, I'm going to do this, and you actually do it, then please come join our mastermind, because we got a lot of stuff that will help you on your journey.
That's it. So with that, I think we can wrap it up. We made it a little bit over 90 minutes, so we just went a little bit over, but I'd say typically I go way over, so this isn't so bad.
Yeah, definitely.
So, well, guys, I appreciate your time today. Both Marco and Hernan, as well as you guys watching the webinar. We appreciate you all being here. Let me undo the screen share here. Okay, cool. And if you have any questions, reach out to us at Hump Day Hangouts. You can always post your questions there. If you have any support or access issues with any of the accounts or any of the training products, you can reach us at support@semanticmastery.com. But any sort of questions regarding any of the training from today, from the battle plan, or about any of our other training specifically, contact us or post your questions via the Hump Day Hangouts questions page, which is at semanticmastery.com/HD questions. Okay. And we'll be happy to answer them then. So again, thanks, Marco. Thanks, Hernan. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye, everyone.